Hello there, good morning, and a very warm welcome to our webinar all about sending pension data using the Sage 50 Payroll Pensions module. This is one of the sessions that counts towards our Pensions Discovery badge, which we'll be telling you more about towards the end of the webinar today. My name's Duncan. I'll be hosting and presenting the webinar, and I am joined by my colleague Alice, who is standing by in the background, ready and waiting to answer your questions. Let's now take a look at what we'll cover in the webinar. So we'll start with an introduction to Pensions Data Exchange, which is a way of sending pension data directly to supported pension providers. So we're going to run you through the setup process using Nest as an example, and then we'll show you how to use Pensions Data Exchange, or PDX, to both import pension updates, and then we have a video demo of sending enrolment and contribution files to your provider. Also included a section on troubleshooting PDX, so 4 of our top tips if you do come across any issues. For those of you that can't use PDX, if you're not with a supported provider, there are other ways to send pension data that we'll touch on at the end of the webinar, and that will include exporting CSV files that you can create by running our bespoke reports, which are available to the full range of pension providers. And then we'll run through some of the further support that's available. We'll tell you more about our pensions badge, and we'll stick around to ensure that we've answered as many questions as possible. So that is what we've got lined up. But before we get into the introduction, I do have a quick poll, which I'm going to launch on screen right now. So just to give me a bit of background, if you could answer the question on screen, which is, who is your pension provider? Now, there's 4 options here. So we've got Nest, the People's Pension, Smart Pensions, or Other. And the reason that we've picked out those 3 providers are those are the supported providers with Pensions Data Exchange. But don't worry, if you're with another provider, we're going to give you some great tips on helping you export a CSV file and where to get those files from if you have our pensions module. Just closing that down now. And just to share those results with you, got a bit of a mix here. The most popular answer on 47% is Nest. A lot of small businesses have chosen Nest for their auto enrollment scheme. And that's actually the example we're going to use when we show you Pensions Data Exchange. Got 23% of you using the People's Pension, which is also supported by PDX, and 1% on Smart Pensions. And then the 28% of you that have another pension provider, stay tuned, as we will be providing tips on exporting CSV files that you can use to upload your pension data to your pension provider. So that's some really great insight. Thanks so much for joining in that poll. So let's get on and talk about Pensions Data Exchange, or PDX, as we abbreviate it to. So as I say, that is a method of sending pension data directly to supported providers. So you will not have to log in separately to a provider portal or upload any files. It's a direct connection, similar to how you submit information to HMRC when you're doing your real-time information submissions. And to use Pensions Data Exchange, you will need to set it up in your software, and you will need to be using a supported provider. So those are Nest, the People's Pension, and Smart Pensions. Now, I'm going to be showing you the process for Nest in today's demo, but the setup is very similar for the other providers, and we do have a range of support articles that take you through step by step what you need to do to get set up. So get the handout downloaded, as you'll find the links to our support articles on there. And a quick note, if you're not with one of these providers, you still have options with our pensions module, and we'll be covering that a little bit later on. Now, before you can go ahead and set up PDX, there are a few things that you will need. So first of all, you will need to have the pensions module with PDX activated. You'll need to be able to log into a Sage account using an email address and password. So if you've never set one up before, you can create one when you're setting up PDX. The provider must be Nest, People's Pension, or Smart Pensions. You will need the login details that you use for your provider's portal as part of the setup process. And for those of you that do use Nest, when you've set up employee groups, you must ensure that they do align to tax periods. So if it's weekly or monthly, your group needs to be a tax weekly or tax monthly pay reference period. And that's something that you would set up on the Nest portal. Now, to set up PDX and to also check whether you've got the option to use it, if you go into your pensions module settings, you should find that there's an option towards the bottom to set up pension data exchange. Or if you've already set it up, you'll get some options to kind of access the management center or manage your matched schemes. So pensions module settings, if you've got that option, it means it's enabled. If you don't have that option highlighted on the slide, our support team will be able to get that activated for you if you want to start using it. So to walk you through the setup process, I am going to play a video and I will kind of talk over that. So if I just bring these slides down, we'll get that video up on screen and then we'll talk you through setting up pensions data exchange. So there are 2 steps to the setup process. Number 1, you'll register and set up Sage Pensions Data Exchange, which involves signing in with your Sage account. And then you will link that back to your software and you will match the pension schemes you've set up in Sage Payroll with the schemes from your provider's portal. So before you do this, you will need your Sage account login details and your pension provider account login details. And to get started, from the company tasks, just go into pensions module settings, and then it's that option at the bottom to set up pensions data exchange. And when you click on that initially, you'll see it takes you to this welcome screen, confirming which providers are compatible. And then when we click onto next, you can see those 2 steps that we need to complete. It says it might take around 30 minutes, usually a lot quicker than that, depending on how complicated your pension arrangements are and how many schemes you're connecting. But we'll start with that first step to register. And you can see that has opened up in a web browser and it's asking us to log in with a Sage account. Now, once you enter your email address, if you've never created a Sage account for that email, you'll be prompted to do so at that point. And you will also need to set up an authentication method, which will keep your data nice and secure. Now, once you are logged in with that Sage account, it's going to be a company that you want to use with this feature. So in my example, it's the pensions module PDX company. So we've got a box ticked there to say that we're going to add that one to the pensions data exchange, and that then takes us into the PDX management center. Now, this is where you can start adding your pension accounts and link into your pension providers. You can also add additional users that might need access to this management center. So we're going to go to the option to manage our pension accounts. And for the first one that you add, you'll see you've got a choice of providers from there. In this demo, we are going to choose Nest. And then we can enter a description for this account. So something meaningful to you. By default, it'll just say Nest account 1. And then you're going to enter your Nest employer ID. And then the username and password that you use to log on to your Nest account portal. So we're just popping the details in there. You'll only need to do this once to connect your account. And when you click on to save, it's then telling us that you've added the details of that pension provider account. It's then going to retrieve those details. So you'll need to wait as that processes. And once it's connected to your portal, it's then going to show you any of the associated kind of pension schemes. And in the case of Nest, there'll be a line for each different employee group that you've set up. Now, as you can see on the right-hand side, you will need to assign a company to those schemes. So if I click on please assign a company, it will then show you the scheme details at the top. there'll be this box in the middle. Now, it's really important that if you've been previously sending your pension data using another method, maybe manually or file upload, that you put a date in this box. The date that you enter here will be the last date that you did a manual submission for, and it just means that PDX can then pick up from that point, and you can start sending pension data for periods after that date. Now, if it's a brand new payroll, which it is in my example, you would leave that box blank because you've never done a submission to your pension provider. But I would say more likely, if you're starting to use this and you've been previously submitting manually, that's when you need to enter the date. We need to confirm which company this pension scheme belongs to. So I've put a tick in the box there. I can then click OK. And then I can repeat that step for any other of my pension schemes, so my other pension groups. Again, we're going to link it to the same company. And that is the first step complete. So once you've done this, you can close out of the browser and you can tick the box to mark step 1 as complete. You would then move on to the second stage of the setup, which will be to sign in Sage Payroll with your Sage ID. And then you'll be matching your payroll pension scheme with the pension scheme that's now been added to the management center. So a quick look at how this works. We're going to click Do It Now to step 2. At this point, you will need to sign in, and you'll likely need to enter an authenticator code as well. So we're just going to pop the login details in. And that enables your payroll software to retrieve data from Pensions Data Exchange. So it's going to retrieve your pension scheme details. And as you can see in the top left-hand corner, these are the 2 schemes that have been found in the management center, and they then need to be matched to schemes within your payroll software. Now, I actually use the same pension scheme for both of these groups in my payroll software. So I'm starting by selecting the weekly pay group. And then on the right-hand side, I've selected the pension scheme in payroll that I actually use for those employees. You would then click the Match Scheme button, and that will move into the matched area in the bottom left-hand corner. And then we can repeat that process for my other pension group. And again, that still links to the same pension scheme in my software. So once we've matched that up and everything appears in that bottom left-hand corner, we can then click Next. And because we do have more than one scheme matched to the same pension scheme in Sage, we do need to designate one of these as being the default scheme. Now, it doesn't really matter which one you choose. I would tend to choose the one that has the most employees in it. So in my case, it's the weekly pay, which I'm going to set as the default. And then we can go ahead and click Save. It then prompts you to take a backup. So we usually recommend you do this at the point you're prompted. So this is a backup during the PDX setup process. You can rename it as required. And then if you needed to, you could restore back to this point in the future. We're going to click on to finish, which takes us back to the original menu. We can tick that second step. So that's both steps complete. And we are now all done. We've now set up Pensions Data Exchange, and we're ready to send and receive pension information with that provider. So you can see that's taken us back to the pensions module settings, and the option to set up Pensions Data Exchange is now replaced with options to open the management center if you ever need to add further pension schemes, for example, and also to manage your matched schemes. So if you needed to match to a different pension scheme in Sage for any reason. To save these details, go ahead and click Save. And that is the setup complete. So that is how you get set up. And just to summarize those steps in a nice little flow chart, what we've just done there is we've set up PDX starting from our pensions module settings. You enter a Sage login, which links your payroll to your management center. And from there, you register your company and you can add your providers. When you add a provider, that's when you log in with your provider login details, and the pension schemes from your provider portal are then added to the management center. Once that's happened, you assign it to the company that it belongs to in your payroll, and then that final step was matching that pension scheme to the pension scheme that's set up in your software. And as I say, we've got full step-by-step guides available on our help center. Now that it's set up, we are ready to start using PDX, and there's actually two parts to it. So to explain briefly where that fits in around your payroll process, you do have an option of importing pension updates for any pension schemes you've connected via PDX. That is a pre-update task, so you tend to do this at the start of the pay run. And if supported by your provider, you'll be able to import opt-out information and scheme changes. But the main function is sending the pension data to your provider. So that is a post-update task. You do it after you've updated records, and that's when enrollment details and contribution details, etc., are sent directly to that provider. So just to talk briefly on importing pension updates, I don't have a demo for this one, unfortunately, but I have linked to our support guide. But when you open up this screen, it will take you into a section that has 4 tabs at the top of the screen. If there's any data available to import, on the Import Data tab, you'll see the details, and you will then be able to import things like opt-out dates and refund amounts, which will automatically populate in the pension assessment screen. Now, you can still enter your opt-out details manually if you prefer to, as Alice will have shown you in the pension assessment webinar we ran the other day. And the other thing it can be used for is if there's been any changes to scheme settings that need to be resynced with payroll. For example, if you're with Nest and you've added some new groups, you'll be alerted if there's new groups in the portal that need to be matched to a pension scheme within Sage. So this is your pre-update task to get everything ready ahead of your pay run. Once you've done that and you've ran your pension assessment, that's the point at which you are ready to send your pension data. So I've got another video to talk you through on this one. So let's have a look at that process right now. So this one will be sending pension data. So just to confirm the flow here, you do your pension assessment first. So this is what will enroll any new members into your scheme. It's also where you can enter opt-in details and opt-outs. You'll need to update the records so that that information has been saved to your historical data, and then you're at the point when you're ready to send the pension data. So first thing you'll do is run your pension assessment. So that's done after you enter your payments. Always advisable to take a backup before any pension assessment, but for this video, I've skipped the step just to save some time. And this happens to be the first assessment that I've ran for a new company. And you can see here that I have 3 employees who are eligible and are being auto-enrolled into the scheme. So we're going to generate some enrollment details for them. And we're also taking their first contributions. So there will be contribution files as well that we need to submit. Once you've done your pension assessment, you can close out of that screen and run your pre-update reports as normal. And then before you can send any pension data, you will need to update the records. So we're going to do that right now. Just running the update records wizard as normal. You might see this pop up, just reminding you that you should have done your pension assessment first. And in general, you follow the tasks in the order that they are listed. And now that I've updated records for that period, we're now in a position where we are able to send the pension data. So this is how it works. You would use the Send Pension Data option from your payroll tasks. Also available on the process map if you follow the steps there. It's then going to connect to Pensions Data Exchange. Now this can take a few moments as it needs to form this connection and show you the information available to submit. And as you can see here, we've got a list of our employees that have been enrolled into the scheme and who are making contributions. And the type of information that we're seeing is both the contributions for this period, and then underneath we've got the enrolment files. Now currently you'll see that there's no option to submit, and the reason for this is that we will need to assign both a group and a payment source to each employee in order to make that submission. Now, once you've assigned a group and a source, that remains assigned to that employee, and you can either do it for an individual by selecting their nest group and their nest payment source, or if you want to assign the same details to multiple employees, you can make a selection first, and you could assign kind of globally using the drop downs at the bottom. Now that we do have groups and sources assigned to these employees, you'll see that the submit option does become available. If for any reason you don't want to submit directly, you can see there is a tick box to manually upload a CSV file, and that allows you to save CSV files from this screen. We actually want to send it directly, so rather than tick that, we're going to go to the submit option, and that will then send the data directly to Nest in this example. And it moves to the awaiting confirmation tab as we wait for that file to be kind of processed by the provider. So there's the details of when it was sent. If you're still on this screen and you want to sort of refresh it to see if there's been an update, you can click on those arrows, that refresh symbol, just above awaiting confirmation. But depending on the type of data you're sending, it can take up to 90 minutes to completely process that submission. So at any point you can close out and you can come back and check on the progress later. So we're going back into Send Pension Data now. Still not processed at this point. So if you see this message, it tells you that it's already exporting pension data, and you can see that it's still sitting on the awaiting confirmation tab. But when it is complete, when you go in, it'll retrieve the data, and we should find that we now have some history of that submission. So this is just a short delay as it connects to the PDX service. If it's doing this, it's a good indicator that it has been processed, because if it's still in progress, it comes up with that message pretty quickly. And we can now see that we do have some history. And then clicking on that tab, you can see when it was sent. You've got filters at the top. You can also view the specific detail of that submission just by opening that drop-down list. So there's our enrollments, and there are our contributions for those same employees. And that is sending pension data using Pensions Data Exchange. So hopefully that gives you a flavour of how it works. Once the setup's complete and once you've done that first submission, process becomes a lot quicker because you don't need to assign the groups and sources. And as I say, you have still got the option of manually uploading a file and creating a CSV file if you don't want to send it directly. So check out our help center if you want more information on how that works for your provider. Now, before we move on to exporting CSV reports for other providers, I do want to just share 4 of our top troubleshooting tips for Pensions Data Exchange. So if you're finding, again, any kind of error when you try to send your pension data, First thing to check is your process date in payroll. So make sure you have set it to the pay date that you're attempting to submit to your provider. Having the wrong process date can result in the message saying that no data is available to export. Second step, this is specific to Nest. If you're getting errors in relation to the dates in your file, you should double check that your pension groups on the Nest portal are set up to align to tax periods. So it's not calendar months, it needs to be tax monthly or tax weekly, if you're weekly or monthly. For fortnightly and 4 weekly, they need to align to the dates in the tax calendar. So Nest have got some guidance on how to change the group to use tax periods if required. Third tip is to check and refresh your management center. So remember, from the pensions module settings, you'll have the option to open the management center. So if something isn't working correctly, you can go into the management center and check for any error messages that you might see there. And in terms of error messages, if you make a note of the exact wording of any errors that you've got, you can try a quick search on our help center to see if we have a support article that helps you resolve that. Or you can always reach out to our support teams. They're experts on all things pensions module. So if you do get an error that you can't find the answer to, the guys on support will be able to help you out. And I have linked to some common questions around PDX there on your handout. So from sending information directly from your software, I'm going to move on and talk about other ways to send pension data. Now, you could do it manually just by logging onto your pension provider's portal and typing the details in. But obviously, if you've got a larger payroll and you're doing this frequently, every week, every month, it's probably a lot easier to do by exporting a CSV file. Now, there's technically 2 ways you could do this. There is a version of Send Pension Data that only deals with CSV export. This is what existed before Pensions Data Exchange was invented. Some licenses still use this old style of Send Pension Data, and for Nest and the People's Pension, you'll be able to create CSV files. You'll be able to confirm which ones have been accepted or rejected, and that will then keep a history of the files that you've generated. There's also an option for Now Pensions, where you'll be able to run a report directly from Send Pension Data. Now, if you're seeing this view, but you want to use Pensions Data Exchange, so you can do those direct submissions, you can contact our support team to get that feature enabled. But the other way to do it more commonly, if you're not with those supported providers, is using reports. Now, we have a report design team that create customized reports specific to the different pension providers, and these can use to facilitate creating CSV files that you would then import or upload to your provider's portal. Now, the links on this section of the handout are really useful. So this link will show you which providers we currently have reports for. And to access the reports, you can use our pension checker tool, which I've linked to on this slide in the handout. And all you would need to do here is to confirm your account number and serial number, which will confirm that you've got a pensions module license. You go to the section to say that you need a CSV report and you choose your provider from there. And then we will direct you to the support guide that has all the links for the various reports available for your provider. Now, obviously, I'm not going to be able to go through every provider in the demo, but to give you an example of how you can create CSV files using the reports, I've downloaded some for Aviva. So I'm going to try and give you a live demo on this one. So let's just bring these slides down. And I'll start by showing you the pension checker tool. So this was the guide that I've linked to, the automatic enrollment reports for Sage 50 Payroll. It's a case of entering your serial number and account number in the checker here and clicking check now. And then you've got either the pension provider supported by PDX, which will take you to guidance on how to use that, or this section at the bottom where you can choose from any of these supported providers to find the relevant reports. So if I choose Aviva, for example, and click Go. That takes us to the Aviva export reports. There's a few available. So the ones I've downloaded is the joiners report and the payments report. And when you click onto these links, as well as getting the download file for the report itself, which you would save into your user-defined folder, it also shows you step-by-step how to run this report. So the way that it works is you run it in Excel, and then you save the information as a CSV. And it tells you where it gets all the information from and what may need to be entered manually for some providers into the various columns. So I've actually downloaded both of these files, and I just want to show you how to use them in Payroll. Now, for this period, I've just ran a pension assessment. I'll show you the results of that now. So for the month of June, I've actually got 3 joiners who are going to go into my pension scheme. So I'm enrolling 3 of my employees, and I've obviously got pension contributions as well for all of my scheme members. So once you've done your pension assessment, you do your pre-update reports as usual and update your records, which I'm going to do just now. And because I'm with Aviva in this example, I can't use the send pension data option. But if I go into reports, I go to my user defined folder, these are the 2 reports that I downloaded from the pension checker tool. So my first one is for joiners, and I do know that I've got 3 joiners in June. So the way that these reports work is you run them to Excel using the report to Excel option at the top. You enter the relevant criteria settings. So I'm going to run this for the month of June. And I'm looking for a join scheme date also in the month of June. Once I've entered the required criteria, that then opens the report in Excel. And this has been built to the specification of the pension provider. So it has the relevant columns that Aviva would expect when you're uploading a file. And in this case, it's got the details of my 3 joiners, including their auto enrollment date. Now from here, it's just a case of adding any manual information if required, and then saving this file as a CSV. So if I go to Save As and choose comma separated, CSV, comma delimited, I'm just going to browse to a location. So on my desktop, I've got some pension data files, and I'm going to call this 06-2025 joiners. So saving that as a CSV, and that can then be uploaded to my provider's portal. So I've also got one for payment files for Aviva. So this is the contributions being made. Run it in the same way. We run it to Excel. You put the required criteria values in. So again, I'm going to do the month of June. And for this one, I'm also going to choose the pension scheme reference because I only want information for this pension scheme. And again, you can see that that will open in Excel. I can view the details if I need to. Obviously, it's just got contribution details for the employees that are members of this scheme. These columns could be filled in manually where required, but ultimately, I do a Save As, same as before, choose CSV. I'm going to pop that into my same folder that I've got on my desktop. So I've got pension data files, and I'm going to call this one June 2025 payments. And that saves me having to enter these amounts kind of manually on my provider's portal. I would log in to the provider's portal, then I would find those CSV files, which I've actually saved to a folder on my desktop. So these contain the information in the right format to upload to the provider portal. Now, every provider's portal will work slightly differently. That's why we've got separate reports And every report comes with full instructions on how to download it, how to set it up, and how to run it. And you will find those details following the link on your handout. So do get that downloaded. Some really useful links available just there. So that actually brings us to the end of what I want to show you in today's demo. So we've had a look at Pensions Data Exchange, both setting that up and sending pension information directly to supported providers, for example, Nest. We've also had a look there at using the Pension Checker tool to download the reports that you might need. They go into the user-defined folder, and then you run it from usually the post-update reports area. So we're going to stick around just to try and answer any of your questions in the Q&A. And I'd also like to mention some of the further support that's available and tell you a little bit more about our Pensions Discovery Badge that's taking place all throughout June. So this is a series of 8 webinars in total. You would need to attend 5 different sessions plus the pensions quiz. All of these sessions have been repeated in June. So you've got the opportunity to join some of the sessions you might have missed earlier this month when we repeat them. And to tell you a bit more about that badge, I've got a video message from my colleague Matt, who's going to tell you all about it. So I'm just going to play that and I'll be back to you in a couple of minutes.
Get ready to earn your Pension Discovery Badge with Sage 50 Payroll. Join us this June for our fantastic new webinar series, where you'll learn everything you need to know about pensions to get you ready to confidently process pensions for your employees. With 7 live sessions and a fun learning quiz in the last session. Whether you're new to pensions or a dab hand, we have something for everyone. Here is what we've got lined up for you. Make a strong start to your pension processing with foundational knowledge on the basics of pensions and salary sacrifice pensions in Sage 50 Payroll. Explore how pension contributions are calculated and how your employees are assessed for automatic enrolment. We'll also take you through our 3 most popular sessions: navigating enrolment, getting started with pensions module, and using Pensions Data Exchange to send your pension data to your provider with ease. And lastly, backed by popular demand, test your knowledge with our Pensions Discovery Quiz to see what you've learned across the sessions. Now, how do you get your hands on your Pensions Discovery Digital Badge? Simply attend 5 out of 7 of the live sessions and our quiz to earn your badge. And don't forget, you get free access to our new Accredible portal to manage your badges, so you can quickly and easily share your badge on socials for everyone to see. Don't miss out. Secure your spot and join us for an unforgettable learning experience this June by signing up at sage.co.uk/webinars. We'll see you there.
So that was Matt with a bit of information on our Pensions Discovery Badge. So get yourself signed up to those sessions and you can earn that badge towards the end of this month. Just to let you know about some of the other further support that's available, our Help Centre is a really valuable resource for all things payroll and pensions. You can access it from any of the help links in Sage 50 Payroll or by going to sage.co.uk/help and following the links for Sage 50 Payroll. If you go to the Pensions and Automatic Enrolment Hub, you will find from there a specific area on sending pension data using the pensions module and also on Pensions Data Exchange. So great resource there. If you do need to reach out to our support team for any reason, if you head to the Help Centre first, there'll be a Get in Touch tab, which shows you the best way to contact our team with your queries. So that could be via web chat or you can give us a call. In addition to our Help Centre, you also have access to Sage University. That's at sageu.com, and you'll find a range of e-learning courses, online certification and bite-sized learning that you can use to brush up on your payroll knowledge. So we've got a few minutes left. I can see there are still a couple of questions coming through, so we'll look at getting those answered for you. If you would like a copy of the handouts, just a reminder that you can download them from that piece of paper icon, which is found on the right-hand side of your screen. And we will also later today send you a follow-up email, which includes a link to the recording of today's session, if you do want to watch back anything that you might have missed, as well as a link to our webinar survey, where we would love to hear what you've thought of these webinars, what you've thought of today's session, and any ideas that you might have for our future webinars and things we can do to improve. So if you do have a moment to complete the survey, it will pop up when you exit the webinar. There's also a link to it on the follow-up email. So with that said, I'm just going to help Alice out with those final couple of questions, and I'll come back to you in a few minutes when we're ready to close this webinar down. So I'll speak to you soon. Hi again, everybody, and thank you so much for sending the questions through. I think we've managed to reply to most, if not all of them now, so I hope those answers are useful to you. We are now out of time, so we're going to wrap this session up. It's been a pleasure having you on the webinar today. I hope you've enjoyed the session, and myself and Alice look forward to seeing you on some of our other pensions webinars later on this month. But for now, it's goodbye. Enjoy the rest of your week, and we'll see you on the next one. Goodbye for now.